and welcome to another episode of Who Gives a Hoot. I'm Luke. That's John. We're here.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here talking about a win streak.
So, being a baseball fan, I'm not sure if I call 2 wins a win streak, but I guess in soccer you can. It's consecutive,
Uh,
so yeah.
uh, I mean, is it a win stain? Maybe.
Win stain.
I mean, instead of a streak, just a stain.
Oh gosh. Um, sure, if you want to claim that. I don't think anybody's going to be climbing over anything to stop you or to claim it.
Fair. So a little bit of news. Noe team of the week. No Shido on save of the week. That might have something to do with the fact that he couldn't see part of the game.
And any potential save you could have made could have been lost in the ether as the AI generated camera switch was going to a field level shot of the game. I understand you weren't able to watch any of it, so you might not know exactly what I'm talking about, but they kind of had a multiple setup that was such like a trigger whenever it was going from one shot to another. It seemed like it was AI generated as to when to go from one camera to the next.
Well, I mean, that would kind of track. They don't seem to have a whole lot of fans, and pulling AI in to if they can't even staff it. Like,
Interestingly, though, for the local feed, they film on the side that ESPN Plus productions do not film on. So we actually do get to see the um, the main sideline seating arrangement for those games.
so did you see all 12 fans?
Uh, I mean, if I wanted to be honest about how many people it looked like were there, I'd say I would say 400 to 500 is probably a fair guess as to
Yeah.
bodies in the bleachers.
Well, since we've already kind of dived into the Fresno game, Central Valley, Fuego, whatever that California team. Um, let's see. The few things that did get from the game is Noe for a brief moment was tied for first in the Golden Boot race. And a 13th minute goal that probably should be up for goal of the week, but there's no proof that he made, and what I'm assuming is an absolutely amazing 60-yard banger. And Anderson Holt finally got some minutes.
And took every advantage possible to just run his ass off and also make this brilliant just time wasting play in the corner, almost like he'd been doing it his whole life.
I mean, I feel like I've been saying it most of the season is play the kids.
both
And
him and both him and Yoskar on the bench for this one. And obviously with injury to Pedro Dolabella, which we might go into as we talk about the Tormenta game in
yep,
hindsight, Dos Santos being on a red card suspension, this was going to be that kind of game that he
yeah,
or Yoskar, if we were going to empty the bench, we're going to play.
yeah, and ultimately, like with the form Fuego's been in, this was if we didn't win this, what are we even doing in this league?
Yeah, and to be fair, they got more chances than I would have liked for them to have seen. This was a good bridge game following one of our better defensive performances, which we've
mm,
been, lacking more of than we're used to seeing, to build up to playing Richmond. You got to get 3 points from a team like Fuego if you want to make the playoffs. If you want to maybe have a chance to host a playoff game, getting 3 points instead of one from Fuego is something you have to do. So doing it twice, getting 7 out of a possible 9 on the road to them in Chattanooga, it's what we need to do. Obviously, we turn too many wins into draws, so at least we're not dropping those points.
yeah. So it's one of those, they shouldn't, by like everything looking at them, they should not be as bad of a team as they are. And it came out there, if the timeline is to be believed, they fired their coach immediately after losing to us.
If they waited till Monday to announce, then yeah, basically that was the last straw for them.
And which is the second time in Union Omaha's history that a loss to Union Omaha has resulted in a coach being fired.
Was Tucson the other one?
I think it was Tucson. It was Gallus gave way to Perlman?
No, that would have been Swatsky.
No, Sawatsky was year one. Sawatsky had already gone to Richmond.
Oh, you're right. Then I can't, off the top of my head, I didn't prepare for that.
Yeah. But this could be a turning point for Fuego season. A loss to Union Omaha, who has not been in the best form. Who now we're 2 points out of playoffs finally.
But let's talk a little bit more about. Well, no, I'll save it. If we're going to preview Richmond, I'll save it for that.
Yeah, let's jump back further in the way back machine, and go to that game against Tormenta, because that felt like a tough game. It felt like boys deserved a win. They're seeing both Toby and John Murphy out there against us, knowing how tough those guys are, having played for us. There was a lot of physicality, and as we saw with Pedro dislocating his shoulder, a red card late in the game with Dos Santos, like it was. JP got a goal. That's a brilliant thing. I love when JP gets a goal. Still needs to be from further out. Interesting to me though that Tormenta didn't cover JP on a set piece with aerial opportunity, because every other team in the league seems to have him covered because they know he's got the ups. They know he's dangerous in the air. And Tormenta, who's usually very good about covering that sort of thing, let it go. And JP took full opportunity there.
So I've not been paying enough attention to just always watching JP and his movement before a corner kick to see whether or not he's consistently in the same area of the box to receive a corner. Because correct me if I'm wrong, it was closer to the back end of the corner kick on that one, right? Closer to the far post that time.
Yeah.
The ball traveled a little bit more. Not sure if that's typically where he goes. Not sure if that's also, typically where Connor delivers them, because again, Connor's been seeing a reduced role the last few games. Luis has been taking more of these corner kicks, and it's, does it differ on who's taking the corner or on which defense we're playing against as to where JP goes? Does JP go in a variety of ways? So I'm not really sure if it's more of like a disguised look, or if, let's be honest, JP is one of the tougher guys to guard on a corner. So sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it short of fouling him.
Which, fouling him in the box, he has gotten better at his diving this year, I will say. But still a nice goal. Great service on that. Puts us up 1-0. Continues to be a tough match. We're dominating possession for most of it. I didn't catch the possession stats, but felt like we probably maintained upwards of 50 to 60% throughout the game.
I think it was closer to 50-50, and it seemed like that because the second half seemed like very familiar. Union Omaha lead defending. That's the first time this year I really never felt nervous about a lead, and give a lot of that credit to Marco. Played his best game of the season, I think,
He did.
that weekend.
He
And
very much did.
he and Luka really paired up together. I'm not sure if it's just them starting to gel together or not, or if it is more of a change of tactics and we just didn't notice it. But we defended that lead better than any lead we defended, obviously, all year, and it just felt comfortable.
Well, and with that and the Fuego game, that's two games where we've taken the lead in the first half and seen it out, which has not been the case much this year. So speaking to our defense, it definitely a positive motion there. Gelling hopefully is the case, and is going to continue as the guys get more comfortable with each other. The Tormenta defense, however, decided to switch sides for a brief moment and give us a goal. Was that Gebhardt?
Oh, no. I'm not.
No.
I don't remember specifically, and Gebhardt doesn't play for Tormenta.
No, not Gebhardt.
I know who you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, it's been in the league multiple years. It's a name we know. But yeah, it was
Sorry,
definitely
you're wearing pink, so I was Madison colors going in my head.
It was Shaq creating the opportunity and Noe just getting involved enough to force the mistake.
Yep. It would have been a goal either way, seeing how Noe's been converting of late. But just forcing that mistake, and it really was just such a poor deflection into the back of the net.
Yeah. Can't imagine a better time for Union Omaha to get to the locker room, and a worse feeling for Tormenta going to the locker room, especially to make it 2-0. That's got to feel like a gut punch.
Oh, I mean, that was definitely a Union Omaha just had to be feeling good about that. And I think based on the fact that apparently the team had their locker room meeting a couple days before to air some grievances and everything. And I'm pretty sure one of those grievances had to be they couldn't see a game out to that point. A perfect opportunity to really prove it that we've got a 2-0 lead. Let's not give up anything. And at the end of that game, you could tell Shido felt good finally having a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Because he's been busting his butt all season and making some amazing saves, but not having a clean sheet. Being able to walk away from a tough side with 0 goals conceded is massive. Definitely boost the confidence we needed.
Yeah, and with a lead and with a 2-goal lead where you could tell we were still kind of focusing on protecting the lead, you still saw creative moments both individually and multiple players combining for them in the second half. With that lead, you had what looked a lot closer than it actually was. It was offside by a full step and a half, but there was this great run of play involving mostly Dos Santos and Noe, where Noe was caught like a step offside, but it was some of that nice little one-timer passing. And then Dos Santos had an individual moment where he was it was on the far sideline where he basically, I forget if he intercepted the ball or if he kind of just got a ball that was up in the air, but kind of made play around the defender, or got a little bit of a sprint, made a play around another defender, and then forced a foul in front of the box. And just, great to see the guys being able to be creative like that while protecting a lead so effortlessly.
Yeah. And to not put it lightly, it's been brought up on the pod that there were issues, and hearing in the interviews or quotes Rich got for his post game article, hearing guys talk, that getting that conversation going in the locker room getting that level of comfort with each other, I think it is going to benefit us going forward. Getting those grievances out there, getting everything to a point where, okay, we know what we're bad at. This is where we need to get better. And if everybody was saying the same thing, I to have been a fly on the wall for that meeting would have been.
Yeah, and you know what? Don't forget, a lot of guys coming from a higher league coming down, new coaching staff, new philosophy,
Yeah.
and hopefully it took the fact that we brought in more players that have experience than those that don't.
Yeah.
And hopefully that means that moments like that where you're kind of having a meeting where everything is just put on the table, you know, when you have more veterans on a team than not, it allows for meetings like that to bear fruit.
Yeah. And seeing the change in captaincy, which um, we've been pushing that for a while on the pod, has definitely, I think, brought a little bit more passion to the play. There's a little bit more just urgency to everything that's being done.
Mm-hmm.
And really good to see. I think it's going to be tough against Richmond with an informed Terzaghi.
Yeah.
Like,
So Pedro getting hurt kind of before that happens, if you saw a run of play and you could predict how we've been playing the last two games, you could have said this is going to be a different Union Omaha team playing Richmond than the team that played a pretty boring 0-0 draw at Richmond. And
yeah.
you're thinking change of venue at Werner, shorter field, a little bit shorter field, can allow for a little bit more exciting play for a Richmond team that, Richmond is almost, when it comes to results, they are about as predictable as you can get. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat. They lose to the teams that are quality competition. They're not going to they're going to get the occasional draw on the road to a superior team, and they're not going to drop points to a bad team at home. So you can, and they don't, and they're not going to win three in a row. They're not going to lose three in a row. It's very, very, very choppy, but almost predictable somehow. And I thought we were going to have a better team that played against them than the team that played them in May. But Pedro was just coming into form around that time. Now he's not going to be on the field, but the defense is playing better, I think, now than it was back then. So do we see something similar? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little more lively, just given the pitch dimensions. But this might be a tough it out, first team to score wins kind of game.
Well, I'd say Noe is very much in form right now. Terzaghi's very much in form. Two of the best strikers in the league right now. This could be a very interesting one to see which team can shut down the other better. And
Mm-hmm.
in the past, Union Omaha has had a good track record of shutting down Terzaghi, especially at Werner Park. But that was with Jay. Will our defense is coming together better, but it's still a tough guy to get there.
And I wonder. So, and I wonder if a decision is to be made about JP favoring the right side more versus favoring the middle is what's going to determine how we defend against Richmond. It's
Yeah.
and that might depend on whether or not Connor keeps seeing starts. Who knows? I don't know if this is a you run with a hot hand kind of thing and he's going to start again, and you kind of have JP playing either in the right or in the middle above Connor, who's clearly playing basically as a 6, and or what you do with the outside backs. It's Marco's in form right now, so I don't think he's going to be taken off. Lucas, I think is in form. He's not going to be taken off. So now it is, deciding between Shaft and Junior and Dion on the right, and a lot of different ways that this can be played.
Yeah, it, I guess let's see based on what we've got information wise. What do you think the lineup's going to be? I mean,
I'm
we're at
done
home.
done guessing lineups. I think I think I'm almost 90% sure Steven Dos Santos will start. Red card suspension forced him off, and Pedro's probably not going to be back for a few weeks.
Well, red card suspension forced him off, but he wasn't a starter in that game either.
He wasn't a starter in that game because Pedro started the game because he was healthy at the start of that game. So I think if Steinwasser was going to get a spot start, he would have gotten it at Fuego. That was the perfect opportunity. Bigger field. He's still probably not used to professional minutes on a pitch with the dimensions like Werner's. That would have been the perfect opportunity for him to run around, especially with the fact that it was so unbearably hot apparently in Fresno that day.
Yeah.
Absolutely not going to be the case this weekend. It's supposed to be beautiful weather this weekend and maybe not even see 80 degrees. So if anybody was not able to run 75 hard minutes because of the heat before, not going to see that this weekend.
Yeah. Well, I think our defense has finally found its form. Like I think we've got our starter set.
Yeah. So there's still, I think, a decision to be made about Shaft or Dion playing full time at right back, if that's even something you need to do.
Yeah.
I think both players can equally sub onto multiple positions if they are a sub. So
Yeah.
that shouldn't come into play when making a decision. It should basically just be, are you going to prioritize the counter attack or not?
Yeah. I think we see Shaft in there just for that added speed, added stamina. I think his level against Richmond is going to be higher than Dion's.
His ceiling.
Yeah. If Marco keeps playing the way he is, I don't think there's any argument about keeping him off. We have seen Dion play both sides before, so
Shaft
I
too.
wouldn't like to see it. Yeah, I wouldn't like to see either of them over there, but it is an option there if Marco is not healthy. But we still have Mueller, who has been a slow recovery, but supposedly getting there.
Hasn't seen an 18 since the game he subbed on for. So
Yeah,
it's obvious that he aggravated an injury, and
yeah,
it's tough to analyze how his return to the lineup can work when it seems like we're maybe just now starting to get to the point to where we're going to start a consistent back four, and we may never do that with right back.
And I mean, it's one of the issues of us having so much to work with there. You've got 8 guys back there that are good. So this game, I think we stick with Shaft, Lexi, Luca, and Marco. Like that to me just makes sense. Midfield, Connor has been doing very well in that 6. It fits his pace better. His distribution has always been one of his strong suits, and putting him into that role to kind of create that flow, push us on the counter, I think is very good. JP in a more attacking role since he started. He's been hungry to get forward. He's one of the most comfortable with Werner Park. It'd be stupid not to have him in there. Luis and Connor on the same field has worked well. I I'd prefer Joe Brito out there. Um, Gallardo might even do well against Richmond in this situation.
I think Gallardo's, for lack of a better way of putting it, I think he's going to be the 11th guy. I think
Yeah,
it's between him and Gill, and I think Gallardo's going to get that start. Um, I'm not sure if Dom wants JP, Connor, and Gill on the field starting at the same time. If
yeah,
it's a sub on and it's 30 minutes, 25 minutes, sure, because you can sub on. I'm assuming of those three, Gill, and he can kind of just fit in where he is needed. Gallardo is, I think, probably going to provide a little bit more of that missing offense that we're going to have with Pedro gone. If Dos Santos
yeah.
can't replicate it entirely, you replace him in the aggregate.
And Gallardo definitely has that better hold up play. Get him the ball and he can tie up a fair number of defenders. His passing has gotten better a little bit, not significantly, but it has gotten better.
And we'll see a change
his,
from what we saw last week if we believe what was pushed out by the league and by the team, and the apps they provide with formations. We kind of played a 4-4-1-1. It sounds like, with Noe up top by himself and Gallardo just behind him.
Mhm.
If Dos Santos starts, that's clearly not going to be the case. I don't think
Yeah,
you're not going to start. You're not going to start Dos Santos behind Noe in a 4-4-1-1 and vice versa.
yeah.
So that could change things with where Gallardo is. If not sure if you want him as one of the outside midfielders or if you want him in the middle. I'd like to see JP more in the middle, but if between him and
Mhm.
Gallardo, I don't know. Gallardo might fit better in the middle of the field than JP,
Yeah.
even if JP is better in the middle.
Yeah. JP is more versatile, I think. And ultimately, him in the middle, I think, gives us more opportunity for work, like way to work around, more opportunity for distribution. I would rather see Gallardo out there than Dos Santos.
I'd be prepared to see them both.
Yeah. I think we have to figure on seeing Noe. He's in too good of a form not to start. I'm not that I don't think there's any major surprises. I mean, our midfield's still not 100% set, but everything else is, when guys are healthy, kind of falling into place.
Yeah, and I think we basically now have our 13 guys. It's
Yeah.
taken a while to figure out, but I think we basically now have our 13 guys that we're rotating as starters and as our first two subs to come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is definitely true there. The kids seeing the bench more is kind of been nice, to where there's that consideration, at least, of if we get a lead or something, having them there ready to go on, putting those younger legs in. In Yoskar traveling, at least, it means he's in serious consideration for getting some playing time. Getting him some actual playing time this weekend would be fantastic. I'm sick of seeing him in the stands. Want to see him on the pitch. Eddie's still got that boot on, from what I hear, and I hope Pedro's healthy, or
I
gets
think for
healthy
both,
quick.
Yoskar and Holt, it's even if it's putting them both on the bench with the absolute plans to not sub them on, I think it's still great experience for them to feel the ebbs and flow of the game from a sideline, even if it's just an inkling of a chance to going on, and just learning how to mentally prepare yourself for the possibility of going on, to get your regular jogs in, to make sure that you keep the blood flowing, and that at a moment's notice you take the penny off, put the kit on, and you go on. It's
Yeah.
important, even if the likelihood of not going on, if the likelihood of going on is very low. It's
Yeah.
it's still experience, even if it's not on-field experience. I think it's important to
Yeah.
get that rhythm going.
No, definitely agree there. As much as I'd love to see them on, just getting them in the 18 is huge.
Hmm.
All right. Score prediction.
Score prediction. First 1-1 wins, and I'll give it I'll give it to us. I am feeling cautiously optimistic that this is the start of something, and I think we're defending better. That's why I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm usually more of it's harder for me to get there, and I think I'm slowly getting there.
All right. 3-0. Braced by Noe to tie back up for Golden Boot lead. And third with a 90 plus minute goal by Yoskar.
I would definitely take that in a heartbeat.
All right. We'll see it happen. Okay. A few more things since we kind of jumped right into the games. There's a team talk next week at Dundee Dell with Luca and Marco. First time they've been done a team talk with players, so be a great opportunity to get out, work on your Italian, grow your mustache out before then. Get a chance to talk with guys on the team after, and not guys who aren't seeing playing time. These are guys, as we've discussed in this, we're seeing regular playing time, been major contributors throughout the season. So great way to get out there, ask some questions, find out what their thoughts are for the best pizza in Omaha. So,
I think this is going to be one to get there early for.
Yeah, for sure. And Dundee Dell has been fantastic at hosting these. Mark over there has done some great job getting it all set up, and every single one I've been to has just been a fantastic time. So make sure you get a chance to get out there. As John said, try to get there early because it is an intimate space. It fills up quickly. So, and then we've got a World Cup this year, Women's World Cup, and team is hosting a watch party. Was that the 20th?
It is. I forget the day of the week, but 20th sounds right because I thought I remember it being on a Thursday.
Okay.
Site One Brewing, definitely will go to that, as it is walkable for me.
Yeah, Site One Brewing on Farnham, 8 p.m. start on that. They are doing registration through Eventbrite free, but just to make sure that they have enough space allocated, and with events like this in the past, the space does disappear quickly and they will turn away if you're not pre-registered. So make sure you're getting on to the team's Eventbrite and registering for that. It will be a good time supporting international women's soccer. So get out there, watch it, get out, support the team in all sorts of ways. There's, I believe, also registration going on for their soccer, volleyball, sand volleyball, soccer, volley tournament.
Summer soccer series.
Summer soccer series, yes. Where they've got, it's a 3v3 games going on around the state. They've got their foot volley. Last year, the foot volley was a lot of fun. Some great teams on there. Players had teams going. Front office had a team going. A lot of fun. Great way to get involved with the team during the summer. So get out there, check it out. Keep an eye on team socials for everything. And believe that covers all the things that are going on going forward.
The theme for Saturday's game is tiki something. So I guess go
rum.
to a party store near you and spend $8.95 on whatever items to barely scrape by as to conforming with the theme.
Well, or just go to La Colonna beforehand pregame. Or I guess there is Island Bar out by Werner Park. You can go there pregame.
You are talking about more expensive options.
Hey, I'm committing to this theme. Also, don't forget your tiki idol. Need to get your tiki idol.
Oh, how else am I going to get immunity?
Exactly. All right. I think that covers it. Get out there. Home game on Saturday. Very exciting month coming up. Lots of things going on. Get involved. Find a supporters group. Find a support group. Just do it. We're not Nike anymore, so I feel like I can now say that.
Let's cheer Union Omaha out of the middle.
Exactly. All right, one last question for you, John. Who gives a hoot?
We do.